You have the floor.
Madam President, we thank Deputy Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process, Ramiz Al-Akbarov, for his detailed assessment of the situation in the occupied Palestinian territory in the context of the implementation of Security Council Resolution 2334. We have carefully reviewed the Secretary General's written report on the matter. We have also listened carefully to the civil society representatives. Regrettably, what we have heard today gives us no cause for optimism. The Israeli authorities have been consistently pursuing a policy of strengthening their administrative and legal control. The pace and scale of settlement construction and expansion have long broken all records. Unprecedented decisions have been taken to develop the E1 area and to revise the legal status of areas B and C in violation of the Oslo Accords. This is creating irreversible facts on the ground and shrinking the territory under Palestinian control. Russia's position is unequivocal. Israeli settlements in the West Bank are illegal, and all settlement activity in the occupied Palestinian territory must be immediately halted by Israel. We have already grown accustomed to reports confirming a grim reality. Resolution 2334, adopted in this chamber 9.5 years ago, is not merely being ignored, it is being openly violated. But one cannot grow accustomed to the manifestations of violence in the West Bank, which at times take on the most appalling forms. It is impossible to look without tears at the photographs of happy parents holding a smiling 7-month-old baby, Sam Abu Haikal, knowing that he was killed by bullets fired by Israeli soldiers who decided that an approaching car carrying his family posed a threat to them. As Undersecretary General Tom Fletcher has said, children die in large numbers when they come to be seen as collateral damage. Under no circumstances must the killing of children become an everyday reality. Otherwise, humanity is doomed. We note the statement by the Israeli Defense Forces that an investigation into this incident has been launched. We call for those responsible to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. This approach must extend to all other cases of violence in the West Bank, regardless of whether they involve settlers, Israeli security forces, or Palestinians. No one should be above the law. Regrettably, as noted in the Secretary General's report, the daily number of attacks by settlers has risen to an unprecedented level, with many of those attacks carried out in the presence of Israeli security personnel. On the basis of the Secretariat's data, one can only conclude that settler violence is systemic and that the judicial and law enforcement system is failing to take meaningful steps to address it. We also share the concern expressed by Antonio Guterres regarding the legislative measures expanding the grounds for the application of the death penalty in the West Bank. We call on the Israeli authorities to reconsider that decision. Madam President, the situation in Gaza is no better. The process of implementing the ceasefire agreement reached last October between Israel and Hamas continues to stall. Security Council Resolution 2803, which endorsed the Donald Trump plan for a settlement in the Palestinian enclave, has unfortunately remained on paper only. There is currently no basis for speaking of a lasting peace. Reports continue to emerge of new Israeli Defense Forces operations in Gaza, resulting in ongoing civilian casualties. Reports of the arbitrary expansion of the territory under Israeli control are a cause of serious concern. Significant restrictions persist on the entry and delivery of humanitarian aid. The International Stabilization Force has yet to be established. A mechanism for the disarmament of Hamas has not been agreed upon. No prospect is in sight for the full withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. No concrete timeline has been set for the transfer of administrative authority to the Palestinian technocratic body, namely the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, which is still unable to make its way from Cairo to the Gaza Strip. It is equally clear that there is currently no practical progress whatsoever towards the reconstruction of the enclave. Essentially, the U.S. administration's peace efforts on the Palestinian track have been put on pause. Against this backdrop, the achievement of a U.S.-Iran understanding and the easing of tensions across the broader Middle East region offer hope that the deadlock on the Palestinian-Israeli track may yet be overcome. A negotiated solution is the only viable formula, as security concerns cannot be fully and legitimately addressed through military means alone. For all the difficulty in advancing the agreements brokered with the mediation of the U.S., Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, without a diplomatic solution, the conflict would have claimed far more lives, and Israeli hostages would still be languishing in the tunnels of Gaza. That said, one cannot simply settle for what has been achieved to date. Energetic efforts must continue to bring the parties closer together, building on the universally recognized international legal framework. We remain convinced that achieving a two-state solution to the Palestinian question is still possible. A comprehensive settlement of the Palestinian and Israeli conflict would guarantee lasting peace for all the peoples of the region, in which the state of Palestine, within the 1967 borders with its capital in East Jerusalem, would coexist in peace and security alongside Israel. Russia stands ready to fully contribute to international efforts aimed at achieving such an outcome. I thank you for your attention.